Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the brand new Raal MG. I have been able to max level it and test various things in terms of bullet velocity, reload speed, damage, TTK. So we'll go ahead and talk about all those various things on the weapon. If you do enjoy the video, learn something new, please do me a favor, hit the like button. Brand new, want to find your way back, double check, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. So the main thing with this one, obviously you got to go in and lock the weapon. Pretty straightforward. You basically just need 5 kills with an LMG in 7 different matches. So it goes pretty quick if you're using the right optic, and you have to be using like the Scout optic, it says on there. So just make sure you do have the Scout combat optic equipped. I ended up using the Bruin. You could use whatever you want. You could back out of the matches since it's a Modern Warfare gun, and you could do that in Plunder, or you can do it in the regular Modern Warfare multiplayer. So now, once that's out of the way, then we got to go ahead and do the different various testings, which we were able to do. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that right now. So first off, basic testing, I was able to max level it. So I was able to put on all the max level bullet velocity attachments that are part of the standard meta builds when it comes to Modern Warfare LMGs. One of the biggest drawbacks with Modern Warfare LMGs is that they tend to be very slow, have a slow reload. This is no different, but they do tend to hit pretty hard, which this ends up being the case. So what we do for bullet velocity is I shoot a round. You can see it went to 99, and then we follow that tracer until it hits the object. It ended up being over 1200 bullet velocity, and overall, when it comes to Modern Warfare, when you stack the attachments, the bullet velocities end up being pretty good for those individual weapons as compared to the Cold War, which is kind of copy and paste literally almost every values. So we have that going for it. And then we also tested the rate of fire, where pretty much you fire, and then you kind of measure out the distance of how long it takes to fire all of those rounds. You do the time difference, and then we did that with various ones. We also checked the reload. You fire one bullet, crosshairs disappear, wait to see how long it actually comes up back on screen, and you can see it takes quite a while. Not quite as slow as some of the other LMGs, but it does take quite a while. We also had a recoil blot here, so if you want to see how the recoil looks, you can go ahead and check this out. The recoil, pretty low. You can see it kind of has a little bit of a kink in it right at the beginning there, but then as we go up, you can see that I used 100 rounds here, and I'm not correcting for recoil in any way, and it pretty much only goes the length of this at about, 15, 18 meters. It's a little bit further than this marker. We also had to check it with the fast mags, because it basically has a 50 round mag, kind of like what I always wanted for like the PKM, but it's not quite as good as the Bruin. It doesn't have the downsides of the recoil stuff that the Bruin has, but it's also not nearly as fast, but it will help out with a little bit of the mobility stuff. So you can check the reload here, and we pretty much go through. We tested the reload. We see when the crosshairs come back right there on the screen. So went through that. We did the standard damage variable testing, which we'll go ahead and show you now. So right here, this is where I'll do the testing. I'll go ahead and shoot them in the limb, and then I'll go ahead and go away. And then what we do is we look at the scoreboard. Right there, we can see the scoreboard, 938. I had the value before, which is 901. So it does 37 damage to the limb up close. And then after its first damage drop off, it drops down to 34. And they've actually modified and nerfed this gun compared to how it was the first time. This is the same thing they did with the CX9. They nerfed it to be a little bit more in line with the damage values now, because before it was completely broken. So we'll look at the previous values compared to the new values, and we'll talk a little bit about how you want to build this weapon out. So back in December, when this weapon was available as floor loot for a limited time with the CX9, I was able to get some testing on it. The rate of fire was 554. That didn't change. We had the damage values, which have significantly changed, because before it was super easy to get like a 5 and a 6 shot to kill. Now it's almost always going to be 7 unless you get some headshots in the mix. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at how this compares. We have the 554 with a 60 millisecond open bolt delay that is not included in this number. So you got to kind of add 60 to whatever this is. If you factor the open bolt delay into it, I'll probably do a video on open bolt delay, because it seems like there's a little bit of confusion on that, but that's a topic for another time. We can see that the stomach and the limbs do the same damage, and then the chest has a little bit more of a chest shot multiplier, and then we have the headshot multiplier, and you can see kind of how that aligns here. If you only manage to land stomach and limb, you're going to have 2 headshots to lower the TTK to 6. If you manage to get mostly chest shots, it will be 1 headshot. So it's a pretty fast TTK if you're getting those values. So it can melt, but factoring in the open bolt delay, 600 milliseconds isn't all that insane. But that's what you got to worry about when you're up close, because when you see each other head to head, you pull the trigger, there's a delay before the first bullet comes out. Kind of can make it a little bit tricky. At range, this is where it gets a little bit weird. 4 chest shots, which 4 out of 7 isn't all that hard to do, especially with the low rate of fire and lower recoil. Pretty manageable weapon. So what we're going to be able to see is that you could probably get 650 pretty common, especially if you stack it out the right way, which is kind of how I had it built in the demo that we saw with the recoil control. On top of that, if you manage to get 2 headshots, which is a little bit less practical, you can get an absurd TTK. And if it was 4 headshots out of 5, you could get even in crazier TTK. When it comes to the reload, the base reload is 7.5 seconds, as you can see right there. Then the fast reload, which is the 50 round mag, I say fast because it's not really all that fast. That should be bringing it down to like 2.5 seconds, 3 seconds for it to be quote unquote viable as an option. And then we have the ADS speed with the meta build, 484, which is pretty slow. You'd expect that from an LMG. Obviously, when we're used to modern warfare weapons, when you stack attachments, they tend to get slower, better bullet velocity, no recoil. Compared to Cold War, they tend to be a little bit slower, not as much. Good mobility, less recoil. It's a little bit different philosophies depending on how they built their engine with those attachments. Then the max bullet velocity, like we showed, was 1233. With all that, let's go ahead and check out some loadouts. So what we're going to look at here is we're going to just build it out the same way we would probably build out a Bruin. But unfortunately, this time around, we do not have the 50 round fast mag that's actually fast. They have a 50 round belt. It says it aim down sight, sprint to fire, movement. So it could help you in that sense, but a 6-second reload just doesn't make it practical for me. So how I would go is just build it out like you normally would. You'd go with this one, which is basically like a monolithic suppressor, which is going to give you the range and bullet velocity with the sound suppression. You'd probably go with the second one here, so it helps with recoil control. You can go a little bit faster, less range, less bullet velocity, but the 32 is probably where it's going to make sense. We do have this last one, which is the oblique, and this one is a lot like the snatch grip on the PKM. So we're kind of building a little bit like the PKM. We need a little bit faster aim down sight, so we're going to put on attack laser, and this is where you could save a little bit and go the hollow. Iron sights are pretty good, but you're not going to really be able to challenge people at 200 meters practically in a normal game. But you could if you wanted. And then we have the VOK. So you can go the VOK route, put on, you know, the T-pose. And that's probably how I'd end up building out the weapon. Unfortunately, I think it's just a good LMG. Very good, in line with a lot of the other LMGs. But the drawback is the reload, the movement, which is the same for a lot of other LMGs. So can you use it? Can it be viable? Yes. Will it be meta? No, not because of the issues that we already talked about. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, learned something new. If you did, please do me a favor, hit the like button. If you're brand new, want to find your way back, double check, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. Thank you for watching as always. Have a great day.